February 17th, 2025. A Ukrainian FPV drone targeted 2 Russian soldiers. The other Russian soldier was immediately detected by the drone before he could escape very far. In the same area, namely the Lyman region, FPV drones belonging to the Ukrainian Signum Battalion continued to target Russian soldiers non-stop throughout the day. Look at the Russian soldiers who saw the drones approaching them. They were in a very vulnerable position. The Russian soldiers became targets one by one without even having a chance to use their weapons. Using forested areas seems safer, but it doesn't help at all. When the soldier noticed the drones circling overhead, he immediately ran into a hut. The place he chose to hide was completely destroyed by the drone attack. This Russian soldier, targeted by a Ukrainian FPV drone, was caught trying to hide behind a tree. Look at how skillfully the drone navigates between the tree branches. This is great skill. When the Russian soldier realized the drone had spotted him, he started running. Within seconds, it was all over. This is a cemetery in the Donetsk region. An FPV drone belonging to Ukraine's 3rd Assault Brigade detected the presence of a Russian soldier here. The Russian soldier, who was trying to hide under a tree inside the cemetery, was unable to do anything against the drone and became a target. The drone slowly approached the soldier. The Russian soldier, thinking he was still undetected, did not even attempt to flee. Or was it because he panicked that he couldn't move? Now watch the attack carefully. A Ukrainian FPV drone is searching the area for any Russian soldiers. There it is. Someone is trying to hide under a tree. When the Russian soldier realized the drone was coming, he decided to stay completely still and hide under the tree. Even when the drone spotted him and attacked, the soldier did not move. There is nowhere to take cover or hide along the hundreds of kilometers of front line. A Russian soldier was spotted wandering alone in such a place. The drone quickly launched an attack. The Russian soldier must have heard the approaching drone, but he showed no reaction. Why are soldiers not reacting to drones? Look at the Russian soldier. He was spotted entering an underground shelter among the ruins. Russian soldiers are now finding hiding places like this instead of trenches. They believe they can hide from drones in these areas. An FPV drone carrying a highly effective explosive was immediately sent to attack. There is no chance of survival from such an attack. 2 Russian soldiers had stopped to rest. They were unaware that they had been detected by Ukrainian reconnaissance drones. Unaware of the impending attack, they continued to sit there. The reason they couldn't detect the drone is that it was being tracked from quite a distance. It's quite difficult to detect drones that can closely observe targets kilometers away. An FPV drone has already been sent for the attack. The drone reached its target. It made a quick maneuver for the attack and flew straight at the soldiers. 2 Russian soldiers did not survive the attack. Russian soldiers continued to be targeted in the Lyman and Sumy regions. Approximately 20 Russian soldiers were moving around in a large group in the area. However, each of them encountered drone attacks. Moreover, this area was completely under the control of Ukrainian drones. It is unclear why Russian forces keep sending soldiers to the same areas. The same tactics and strategies are being persistently used. What do you think is the reason for this? Thanks to thermal imaging systems, soldiers can be detected even from a considerable distance. These attacks are the most prominent example of this. It is noteworthy that Russian soldiers are not using effective weapons against drones. Look closely at the soldiers. They don't even have time to react, because they can't even see exactly where the drone is coming from. The Ukrainian fiber optic drone is moving fast because it has a soldier in its sights. Look at the terrain. Being in a place like this is quite dangerous. There's nowhere to take cover. This soldier is standing behind a small tree. He fired at the drone several times, but failed to shoot it down. Even though he tried to escape by circling around the tree, he couldn't escape being the target. So what kind of weapon do you think these soldiers should use against drones? The Russian soldier who was attacked immediately fled and hid in a rather strange place. An underground shelter. Attacking a soldier there was nearly impossible. However, he made a big mistake by leaving the shelter about an hour later, and the drones immediately launched their attack. Another soldier in the same area. The Ukrainian fiber optic drone slowly approached and collided directly with the soldier. There's the soldier sitting there. 3 Russian soldiers were traveling in a military vehicle near the city of Pokrovsk when they were attacked by a Ukrainian FPV drone. They immediately got out of the vehicle before the drone struck, but one soldier was not so lucky. Drones belonging to Ukrainian forces, which managed to enter many parts of the city, pursued soldiers in the area. Many soldiers wandering aimlessly in the area became targets. These areas are located in the inner reaches of the front lines, so they move around in larger groups, believing they will not be targeted by any drone attacks here. A Russian soldier hiding in ruins in the Pokrovsk region was detected. A Ukrainian drone dropped the bomb it was carrying directly onto the soldier's location. With all these attacks, Ukrainian FPV UAVs eliminated Russian units one by one. Another Russian soldier, upon noticing the drone, chose to hide among some bushes and remain motionless. This attempt to hide was futile. The drone struck the soldier. A Russian soldier was spotted in abandoned trenches in the Donetsk region. A drone immediately attacked the trench where the soldier was located with a high explosive device it was carrying. One of the tanks most frequently used by Russian forces on the front lines is the T-72. The Russian tank targeted by the FPV drone lost its mobility after its tracks were damaged. Seizing this opportunity immediately, Ukrainian forces launched a drone attack on the Russian tank. When the first drone failed to inflict sufficient damage, a second drone carrying a more powerful explosive rendered the tank completely ineffective. A Ukrainian MiG-29 Mu-1 fighter jet carried out a bombing strike on a Russian UAV launch site using 2 AASM hammer-guided bombs. One bomb landed near the target, while the other struck the position directly, the town of Huliaipol, Zaporizhzhia region. The drone's next target is the 2 S-19 MSTA self-propelled howitzer. It is a highly effective howitzer built on the chassis of a T-80 tank. Ukraine rendered the howitzer completely unusable by striking its barrel twice with drones. These are transmitters set up by the Russian army in various locations to provide communication and internet access at the front. Each one is being meticulously identified. Units dedicated solely to locating these targets have been established to prevent soldiers in the area from losing communication. A significant number of transmitters have been eliminated. These types of attacks leave soldiers on the front lines isolated and demoralized. The Ukrainian Special Operations Forces, SSO, launched a large-scale operation targeting Russia's deep rear logistics using new generation FP2 strike drones. The most critical blow occurred in the village of Pasichne in occupied Crimea. A massive warehouse storing Iskander-M missiles, Russia's most effective weapon for striking Ukrainian cities, was hit with pinpoint accuracy by FP2 drones. The operation targeted not only ammunition, but also Russia's drone technology. In the village of Vysok, in the Zaporizhzhia region, the remote control center of Rubicon, known as Russia's most elite drone unit, was destroyed. This center was the technological brain coordinating Russia's FPV and reconnaissance operations on the front lines. The elimination of the Rubicon unit completely crippled Russian drone attacks in the region. Attacks on the logistics routes used by Russian forces at the front continue. Logistics supply areas extending to the Donetsk and Lyman regions are under constant surveillance. Russian military vehicles advancing along these routes are being attacked by drones. These vehicles are carrying logistical reinforcements to the front. However, most are being stopped by drones before reaching their destinations. Ukrainian forces attach great importance to these attacks because by damaging supply lines under difficult frontline conditions, they create greater difficulties for soldiers at the positions. As of February 17th, the intensity of the fighting on the front lines is increasing. Ukrainian forces are now focusing more on offensive operations. Key areas held by Russian forces are being targeted by drones. Although Russian forces are attempting to respond in kind with drones in most cases, they are still advancing large numbers of troops on the front lines. It is clear that the Russian army is struggling to hold its ground in areas such as Pokrovsk, Zaporizhzhia, and Crimea, where Ukraine has intensified its attacks. In particular, the destruction of air defense systems and ammunition depots, one by one, has completely undermined Russia's security behind the front lines. Despite losing thousands of soldiers and hundreds of vehicles, the Russian army continues to use the same logistical routes and attack methods. Do you think Ukraine will succeed in reclaiming its territory?